Superman number 10, written and art by Dan Jurgens. Last issue left off with Superman fighting some woman who could not be touched but still punches very hard. And also, some random reporter said that a guy named Spence Becker is the true identity of Superman. So there's a lot going on. So, open up Metropolis. Lois Lane is busting into Morgan Edge's office saying, like, how dare you run that story after I rejected it? To which Morgan's like, I have multiple networks and you're in charge of one of them. Like, I'm running it on the other network. You literally have no say here. And she's like, like, I wouldn't turn it down if it was a good story. There were many flaws with it. And he's like, guess we'll find out soon enough. So then we see Superman still mid-fight, whereas it's coming out over the news that, his real name is Spence Becker, and he has a wife and a child, and he lives at this address and his social security number. Not that far, but it's still very in-depth for all of the opening facts. So he tries to take out this girl because he figures, okay, she's able to change her density so that I can't, hit her, but she can still hit me when she needs to. So maybe she, has to have her feet solid so that she can stand on the ground. So he tries melting the ground around her feet, and she's like, that's not going to work. No reason why it doesn't work, just not going to work. So she reveals that her whole tragic backstory of she was raised in an abusive household by her dad, and she just wanted a locket that has her mother's picture in it, and that's literally all that she was trying to do, was just get this locket. And as she's explaining her sad backstory, some people, I think from Star Labs or something, they show up with a big gun, try shooting at her, obviously doesn't work. To which then Superman's like, oh, you want that locket? I'm just going to take that locket then. That's not able to turn incorporeal. So he grabs the locket, to which she throws a punch, and in doing so, breaks the locket. And so she's very upset by this. She's overhearing on the news that, hey, he's got a wife and kids, this Spence Becker guy. So she's like, oh, well, in that case, I'm just going to go and take away the thing that you love the most. Ha, 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 ha. So then we cut over to Spence Becker, who's just trying to explain to his co-workers, like, I'm not Superman. They're like, sure, that's exactly what Superman would say. And he gets a call from his wife, and he's just like, honey, this is not a good time. And she's like, yeah, it's not for us either. There are news reporters on our front lawn. And his kid's like, is Daddy Superman? He's like, no, Daddy's not Superman. Shut up. So at this point, Superman's getting up from his punch, and Lois and Jimmy are there, and they're like, hey, do you want to comment on the whole secret identity thing? And he's like, no, I'm not. That's not me. Clearly not. I'm here, and Superman is a full-time job. I don't have a secret identity. I am literally just Superman. And they make a passing reference of things that are going on in Grant Morrison's Action Comics. But of course, those things happened 5 years ago in continuity, so he just mentions that he had to fake his death before. Anyway, so Superman flies off because he realizes, they're going to endanger that man's family. I need to go save him. And Lois talks to Jimmy for a little bit about, do you really think Superman doesn't have a secret identity? At which point Spence Becker shows up and is just like, hey, you're Lois Lane, right? You got to issue a retraction. This is all some sort of mistake. And he's like, it's kind of weird that you showed up just after Superman left. Anyway, cut over to Becker's house, and the reporter guy showed up, Vic Barnes, and he literally just barges his way into their house being like, here's all the ways that I knew it was Superman. Remember, he just came from that submarine, and when I saw him, he was wet. And he's like, that's my husband he works close to a gym. He was coming out of the gym showers. And he's like, likely story. So they're just arguing over that. And at that point, the woman shows up. I don't think she even has a name. But the woman shows up, and it's just like, I'm going to take what Spence Becker loves the most. Haha. And she's about to attack. But then at that point, Superman comes in, saves the family, and Vic Barnes is the one who gets backhanded by the woman. All the reporters are standing outside, and they're like, oh my God, this woman must have tracked this family down through the news and is going to attack them. And almost has a brief brush with the fact of, are we responsible? No, I'm not going to think about that. So then they move on and they show, all right, I'm going to destroy everything if I can't get my hands on the family. And then Superman comes up, busts through the ground, and as she's throwing punches, she's like, hey, I fixed your locket. Yeah, I heat visioned it back together. Your photo's fine. Here you go. And she's like, okay, well, that's pretty much all I wanted. Bye. And he's like, wait, hold on. We can get you help. We can make it. You say you can't control your powers. Like, we can just get you fixed. And she's like, nah, I'm good. Bye. And she just phases away. To which point, then Superman comes face to face with Spence Becker, and they're just like, how could this have happened, Superman? And Superman's like, the crazy, irresponsible media is to blame. That's practically a quote. And so Spence says hi to his kids or whatever. Vic Barnes comes up and is like, no, it must be a trick, a clone or a robot. So then he gets knocked out again by Spence. And then Wonder Woman comes up and is just like, are you sure you don't have a secret? Or did I say Wonder Woman? Lois Lane. Are you sure you don't have a secret identity, Superman? And he's like, nope, I just go back to my home. And he flies away. To which point Jimmy's like, man, I bet he's got this sweet-ass palace. I bet he has a harem. I know I'd have a harem if I was Superman. And Lois is like, that's too much, Jimmy. Too much. So anyway, cut to Russia. Remember last issue how Superman saved that sub? Well, the Russians now are like, oh, it's a good thing Superman didn't look inside of our sub. Otherwise, he would have found this super powerful weapon thing. But we've delivered it here. And, oh my God, the scientists opened it and now they're all dead. And now I'm being attacked too. Oh my God. Anyway, it's fine. It's like, all right, yeah. It's the fact that that woman, I don't think even got a name. Like, I scanned over it several times. I may have just forgotten, but I genuinely think the villain part there, the background part of, oh, this woman needs her locket and Superman is misunderstanding the situation, but then he fixes it and blah, blah, blah. What this honestly feels like to me is that Dan Jurgens had two ideas for two separate stories, neither of which was enough to fill a full story. So he just merged them together where he was like, Superman will be in the middle of this fight and also his identity will be revealed. And I'll link them because the woman will be wanting revenge. There we go. Perfect. It just felt very disparate in terms of storytelling. Art-wise, fine. I give him credit of Spence Barnes, or Becker, whatever his name is, looks similar enough to Superman that I can see like the reason people would mistake them, but is still different enough that I didn't have to question whether or not I was looking at Superman or him. Like, I give him credit on that of similar but different enough. Beyond that, it's just a stock standard. It feels almost like filler. Like, it's just a stock standard little like, oh, here's Superman doing a thing. Anyway, bye. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6.5. It's fine. It's not great, but, you know, not every Superman story has been or will be.